Welcome to the Selling in the Motor Trade podcast, in association with Simco Training. This is the weekly podcast where we share best practice, tips and ideas on how to sell more cars, improve your service department, and generally put more profit into your dealership or dealer group. I'm your host, Simon Bowkett. Now, some of you probably already know me as Skippy. I would start by saying thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. Hi, welcome to another episode of Selling in the Motor Trade. Today, we're going to be talking about used cars. Guys, we know that used cars and what we've been through over the last couple of years, the supply issue was there, okay? We're worried about the prices of used cars. What's going to happen? Are they going to fall off a cliff? Where are you getting your used cars? So we're joined again by Ian Parker. Some of you guys will remember Ian Parker on some previous episodes. And Ian really is one of the experts in the used car space in the Australian automotive motor trade. And we'll go on this all day long. Have a look at all of the things that you've got on a modern iPhone or the Samsung. In fact, my boys, I've got a Samsung freak at home and an Apple freak, and they talk about which one's better. And I don't care, I'm too old for this. But James tells me with my phone, I can put it here and then put it there. And through an app, it'll tell me how far it is, okay? And that's on the phone. I looked at him and said, mate, why the hell would I want to do that? Why would I want to measure something on my phone? But that's one of the thousands of different things that it does. But when push comes to shove, why someone chooses an iPhone or the Samsung or the Huawei, whatever it is, it's 3 or 4 hot buttons. It's not the hundreds of things. It's the reason why I still go for an iPhone is it speaks to my iPad. It speaks to my watch, okay? I know how it works. I don't have to learn a new system. The reason why someone likes that Samsung is because they're not locked into the Apple cartel. They've got better battery life. They've got a better camera. It's the 3 or 4 hot buttons that people have on their car. We go find out what they are and home on that, not the 101 different feature dumps that still see and hear happening today.
Yeah, 100%, and they do it. And it's if you ask the right questions, you don't get into that.
Yeah, so true. So road to sale then. Is it dead? Is it still around? Do we still, or is it just changed when we do the parts of the road to sale?
Well, there's still parts of it that are relevant, but the first part is ask the right discovery questions to find out why the client has come into your dealership or rang your dealership or whatever the case may be. When you find out what that is, then you can work it through there. Like you show them through the car. They might say, I know all about the car, I've read all about it on the internet. So Simon, what was the best things you liked about the Isuzu D-Max? Come and I'll show them to you in the flesh now. Touch and feel them, right?
Yep.
And you go through all that. And now whether you at that stage, then you talk about the test drive now. We get some customers that'll say, Simon, I don't need to drive that car. But you should, the salespeople say, oh, but you should drive it, give you all the reasons why. And the customer will say, oh, yeah, but my uncle's got one, my father's got one, my brother's got one, my auntie's got one. And then the salesperson continues beating them up about why they should drive the car. And to me, it's just, hey, Simon, I fully appreciate you don't want to drive the car. That's completely your decision. So a bit of empathy and get that barrier to drop down again that he has put up because I wanted him to drive the car. And then you say to the customer, hey, Simon, can I just ask you one question? And all Simon's thinking about is what's that question he wants to ask me. Mm-hmm. So I say to Simon, are you prepared to buy this car now without driving it? Now, if Simon says, yes, I am, then we don't have to do the next 4 steps in the road. So we take Simon in, sit him down in the office, do the paperwork, and we move on.
Yeah. See, what I love about that is you still offer to start with, okay? Because you still know the bums raised desire. So, of course, you want to do that. Yeah. But then if the customer says no, let's not have an argument with them. Think about the McDonald's drive-through. Every time you go through the McDonald's drive-through, say, can I have a Big Mac meal? They turn around and say to me, yeah, certainly. Do you want to go large? Now, Ian, they don't just say that to the big fatties. They say that to everyone. But if I say no, thanks, they don't turn around and say, why don't you go large? Simon, it looks like you normally go large. You can't get that size without going large. Of course you'll want to go large. They don't have an argument with them. They say, okay, move on then.
Yeah. And I say to the salespeople as we train, I'll say, keep everything conversational and don't make it confrontational.
I love that phrase. Say that again for me. I love that.
So keep everything conversational and don't make it confrontational.
Yeah, love that. Absolutely love that. Okay, so let's move forward for a second. We've had lots of challenges, okay, with the supply of cars. And semiconductors was a global thing. I know it's getting better all the time. It's starting to come through. Wiring looms. I didn't realize until 3 months ago, maybe 6 months ago, that wiring looms were made in Europe, in Ukraine. And that's obviously a real issue over in this part of the world there. And consequently, the last 2 years, you didn't have to be a genius to sell a used car because we just couldn't get stock. Okay. To sell a new car, the sales process was, hey, listen, I know you wanted a black one, but I've got red coming through. And if you don't want it, there's 3 other people who do. Okay. And it really is getting people used to 18 months deliveries, 12 months deliveries. It is getting better all the time there. Okay.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you, is now the time for back to basics? I just think in the last couple of years that salespeople haven't had to sell. It's been low-hanging fruit. What's it been like in the Australian market there?
Yeah, you're 100% right, Simon. But the other issue, and I was talking to a dealer principal in Melbourne a few weeks ago, and I rang him up. He subscribes to our stuff, and I rang him up to talk to him about he should consider sales training, right? And he should look at sales training for his people and blah blah. Anyway, he said, oh, no, like things are good, like we're selling cars and people just walking and buying them. We don't really need that at the moment. I said, no, that's okay. I said, but things are starting to change. You're finding stock starting to free up? Yeah. I said, oh, yeah, a little. I said, okay. So let me ask you this question. How many people have you got? How many sales people have you got on your team? He said, we've got 20. I said, oh, yeah, that's fantastic. I said, out of that 20, how many have been with you for 3 years or less? And he said, oh, I don't know. I said, well, how many do you think? He said, oh, I think 15. I said, okay. So you're telling me that 3/4 of your sales team have never effectively been taught how to sell and have never effectively sold because they're all in after COVID. So they've never had to follow up, negotiate, or do any of the normal sales things. And he said, I never thought of it like that. I said, well, you need to, because that's what's happening now. Now, the other thing is the stock starts to free up. The manufacturers are going to start to shovel the cars into the dealers, right? And the dealers are going to have to sell them. And the dealers want to still be profitable.
Yeah.
But when they're getting pressure from the manufacturer, then their salespeople are going to want to make money, and the interest rates are rising, which they are in the UK as they are in Australia. So the inquiry drops off a little. So then the salespeople start wanting to sell. So they're giving away more. And then what happens is that hamster's on that wheel and we're going back to pre-19 again. Now, what happens is then, salesperson then goes to the manager the salesperson's probably been earning, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, whatever $1,000 a month commission from 20, 21, 22. All of a sudden, the numbers have dropped off.
Yep.
He's not sure, how do I deal with follow-up and build rapport with people? I've never done that. So his income's dropped, but his lifestyle's still up here. He goes to his manager, I need to earn more money. Oh, we can't pay anymore. So then he leaves. We've got to get into investing.
Again, it's that low-hanging fruit that these guys in the last 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, just haven't had to do it. And it's interesting, speaking to all the manufacturers, the OEMs, as I should say nowadays, that phrase snuck up on me, OEM.
Yeah.
Okay. But the manufacturers, I got to tell you, they're all telling us they don't want to go back to an oversupply situation. They're all saying they love it at the moment because we're making full margins out of all the cars we're selling. I mean, actually, agency, they're fixing a problem that was a problem back in 1918. The problem they're trying to fix with the agency sales model is not here currently because we're all making good money. But my concern is the manufacturers have short memories. And I can remember, Ian, Mike Carney Toyota up in Townsville, for the people in Australia that know this place. It was the Land Cruiser was just launched. I don't know which one it was, but I remember I was in a room with a whole lot of guys saying, hey lads, this is an opportunity to make good profit out of this. Let's not be silly. Let's not give it away. Okay, let's just hold on to this margin. Okay, this is time to make good money for all of us. We all agreed, yeah, of course it is. Let's not discount this. How long did it last, Ian? Okay, you know it was 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And we blame the guy in Ingham, okay, because he gave it away, but it was probably the customer that said it, okay, and then hey, he probably thought we gave it away, and it happened. So here's my concern. I want to get your views on this. This oversupply situation, and something you said there, very quickly manufacturers will start jamming oversupply back into us. Do you think that's going to happen soon? Do you think that will go back?
I was talking to a dealer that's got 15 franchises.
Mm-hmm.
So I reckon he's got a pretty broad spectrum.
Yep.
Now, Australia sells about 1 to 1.1 million cars the last couple of years. Okay.
Yep.
He said to me on some of the numbers that he's getting that with the manufacturers of what their targets they're setting, and he's got 15 franchises.
Yep.
That he reckons that the market next year in Australia will be 2.2 to 2.4 million.
Okay. So that oversupply situation, it's coming, guys.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah. And if you want to be successful and you want to retain your good people, and if you want to continue your margins and not have floor plan that's blowing out and things like that, your people have got to understand how to sell and sell effectively.
Yeah, it is coming. It's definitely coming there. The other thing I want to get your views on, okay, and I think this is the issue that's going to happen globally. A perfect storm is happening, I think. Number one, interest rates. In the UK, over the last 12 months, we've had 10 interest rate rises. It's only going one way. Inflation is going through the roof, hence that's why interest rates are going up. Okay. People's trade-ins, their used cars, for the last 2 years, I've never seen a situation where cars are going up and up and up. I've got a client in Galway, in Ireland, and said, have a listen to this, Simon. How do you deal with this? A man 2 years ago bought a Tiguan for 46,000 euros. 2 years ago. He's offering him 45,500 for it. So your customer's driven the car for 2 years for 250 euro a year. Okay. Have you ever heard about that in the motor trade ever? But here's the thing. Okay. The customer's still pissed off with him. Storms out there and thinks you're ripping me off. How dare you, you bastards? You know what my car's worth. Okay.
Yeah.
But here's the perfect storm. So interest rates going one way. Customers trade in prices. That can't continue. They're going to start softening. They are over here at the moment. There's some people saying that they're going to come off a cliff. I don't think they will, but they're definitely going to soften. The third one is every manufacturer's, the cars' prices are going up because of transportation, distribution costs, raw materials, getting the stuff. So I think we're going to have a lot of salespeople are used to the customer, addicted, I'm going to use that word, to spending $500 a month on their car because that's what they got at 19. And now, very quickly, that same car is going to be easily $800 a month.
Yeah.
How does a salesperson get their head around explaining to the customer for the same car, they're going to have to be spending $800, $850, whatever it is a month? How do we start overcoming that problem?
Well, again, they've got to build the desire in the new car. They've got to get the customer's desire in there. They've also, when they talk to them about, if they were paying $500 a month in 2019, they've got to go through it and say, you're going up 3 or 4 years, whatever the case may be. Your budget in 2019 was $500 a month. What is your budget today? What's comfortable for you today? Now they might go, oh well, I'm comfortable at $700 a month. So if they say to you it's $700 a month, then go, so okay, so we broke that down, Simon. Would that be about 180 a week or 190 a week? Would you say that's comfortable for you? Because you know that 700 a month and 190 a week will bring you to about 800, 820 a month, right? Mm-hmm. So break it back to a week at 190 a week. And then you got to build the desire. They've got to understand they're coming up 4 years. Forget value, get the value out of the head. You got to build the value in what you're selling and not in the value of what they're selling you. And what you got to talk about, and I've actually done a video series on this on used cars and things, but you got to talk about we're buying your old car. We're not trading your car in. We are buying your old car. and you've got to refer to their car out the front as their old car. And your old car you're paying $500 a month on, and if we can get you into your new car for $180 a week, that still fits your budget. So, then when you present the whole thing, great news, Simon, I've been able to get you out of your old car and I can get you into this new car with, 10-year warranty and blah, 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 for under your budget for $175 a week.
Yeah. There's some markets, the Australian market, I know weekly, Irish market works really well. UK market, everyone still thinks and paid monthly, but in the Irish market, that's definitely, I love that approach there. Definitely love that. So listen, let's move on.
The other thing, Simon, sorry, if I can just throw in on that, sorry. The other thing is too, that if you've got a client that's talking, monthly or weekly repayments, whatever the case may be, the other option is we talk about putting the cart before the horse. So take them into the business manager and go, hey, Simon, I've got Ian here. Now, Ian's currently paying $500 a month on his current car. His budget and what's comfortable for him is about $800 a month. Can you put him through the system and just find out what's the most the finance company is prepared to give Simon, so then I can take Simon out and show him cars that fit his budget exactly?
You got to actually know. We talk about qualifying the customer's man. Listen, there's two trainers here going on the training stuff there. The money, the authority, the needs and wants there, and you really have to get that part of it right there, and how you do it. But again, we got to be so careful just asking what they're currently paying, because I tell you what, they're so addicted to that 500. But as we said, listen, customers aren't stupid. They've done, 19 hours and 42 minutes of research. They've looked at the websites. They know what's happening before they got to us. I really think they have. So listen, let's talk about electric vehicles. And I want to get your views on this, because we had James Fortman over here, the chairman of the Australian Automotive Dealers Association. And I took him to a few of our clients there, and he was amazed where we were with the electric vehicles and the uptake in this market. Lots of that driven by legislation. What's happened with electric vehicles in the Australian market? Has it been accepted? Where are we up to there? That's a can of worms, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's interesting because, they're trying to rush it in over here. And I know in Europe, because Europe's like the size of a shoebox compared to Australia, which is the size of a sack of potatoes type thing, right? So it's easier to travel around Europe and plug in, and you got your infrastructure is a lot more advanced than ours. The problem with Australia is this new government's trying to ram it in, but we aren't ready for it yet. Like Toyota, the boss of Toyota come out, and I think he was in Japan or somewhere, and he's talking about the petrol electric vehicles. That's the way to go for now, because the hybrids, because that is what's comfortable. I had an acquaintance that was given a Tesla. He drives to Sydney every month. Mm-hmm. And he said, I leave here at 8 o'clock and 9 hours later I'm in Sydney every time I go. Yep. Anyway, he was given a Tesla to try to do it in. And he left here at 8 o'clock in the morning and got into Sydney at 11:30 that night because of charge stations. We're not geared up for that long haul. The electric vehicles running around Canberra, Brisbane, Sydney, is all good. Although in Sydney, in the Mossmans and all those leafy areas of Sydney, it's causing real dramas because all those people don't have garages or carports or anything. They're actually running the power cords out over the front fence through the trees and plug them into their cars. So that's what I'm talking about. The infrastructure here, they're all pushing it here, which, but the infrastructure is not all in place for as many as it can take. And, the thing is, if we sell 1 million cars a year in Australia, we might sell, I'm not sure where the electric vehicles are up to at this stage, but if we sell 300,000 or 400,000 electric vehicles in Australia, I don't know how the grid would handle it.
Yeah.
And I'm not an expert in that.
It definitely has to be infrastructure led. And over here, we've got 2030. Everything has to be EV. Having said that, even over here, we would still say there's not enough chargers. They can't get them to work where they are. We will still have that same stuff. But again, compared to the Australian market, we are so much further ahead. I mean, James was amazed that a Kia business, one of our clients in London, 65% of the cars that sold this year have been EV. Now that's driven by legislation. I mean, driving an internal combustion engine into London, there are higher charges there. Where you can currently drive an electric vehicle, I think it's £17 a day if you drive in a dirty diesel in there. Could be more than that. Okay, and that's definitely driving that side of it. But listen, I've got to say, infrastructure, charging points. Even here, there's not enough yet. There's not enough there. It's with the legislation. When you say the Australian market is pushing it in, is there a date when they're saying they're going to stop internal combustion engines? What is?
They haven't mentioned any dates, but see, the other thing is that the government, they collect about 45 cents a litre on the sale of every litre of fuel. Right. So the thing is, and then the governments, then you've got, that's federal government, then you've got state governments that are giving all these different bonuses to buy electric vehicles, right? My question is, and I'm not the only one who's got this question, is where are we going to get all this extra tax money from if we're giving all money away for people to buy electric, and then if all these people buy electric and we're not selling fuel, how do we fill the coffers up that we need to do? And then we're spending all this money, giving all this money out to put charge stations in and build windmills and all that. It's all good, but you've still got to have the revenue coming in. You can't keep giving it out and not have it. You've got to have a plan. And I'm not sure that. I think their plan is act now and worry about it later, which is not the answer.
Well, listen, it's quite funny. Our Chancellor, this has been recorded now in November. November 2022. So if someone's listened to this going back through the series there, he's just talked about actually all the tax breaks on EV vehicles have to start coming off now. The charges, there needs that tax revenue for the roads. So they are looking at that right now. And lots of them are coming off in stages there. It's going to be definitely an interesting space there because 2030, over here, there's lots of people saying, hey, can we do it? It's going to be rolled back. But I got to tell you, there's a lot of other people saying they're not going to roll it back. I don't think they can. It's going to be definitely an interesting space. But from a sales point of view, if we sell an EV or an internal combustion engine, I don't think it's going to be as much of an issue as it is on the service side of it. Because, of course, that's something we need to get our head around it, because what servicing does this vehicle need compared to that internal combustion engine? That's something we need to look at there.
Because that's a profit center for the dealership.
Of course it is. Yeah, it definitely is. Now, having said that, EV vehicles, you've still got tyres there. We still got brakes. They still need servicing. So it's not like they no servicing at all.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's we can't sit there and worry about that. In fact, if you had a look at the servicing revenue that we're in this with James Vorton, we should do a podcast just on this. He was an eye-opener on the 3 centres we went to, all about electric vehicles, how much they were actually making profit. And one of the dealer principals said, I don't know how long this is going to continue, because what we're making profit, what we can charge the customer servicing on this electric vehicle, and the time it takes to do it, at some point this is going to catch up with us, because they're still making great revenue out of that, because the customers are used to the internal combustion costs. But of course, the technician's not spending as long.
So will the OEM then bring in cap price servicing?
Yeah. Fixed price servicing, we have a lot of manufacturers over here will be doing that already. It's an interesting space. I think agency's the question there, and Mike Jones, I think, summed up perfectly, where they're all looking at this agency model just to fund the development of EV vehicles, because we need to go EV. The manufacturers need the money to actually develop these EV vehicles there. I tell you my concern with the electric vehicles. I don't know if you've driven one, spent much time in one, but over here, on one day of my life, I drove the Porsche Taycan. It was the Audi e-tron. It was a EV6. I drove the BMW iX4. And my concern is, Ian, if you had a blindfold on when you're driving it, you wouldn't know what car you're in, because an electric motor is an electric motor.
Yeah.
A battery is a battery. You've got a big battery, a small battery. And it was the soul of the car I felt just wasn't there. Sure, they accelerate brilliantly. They handle brilliantly. All of that. Yes, of course they do. Okay. If you want a race car, okay, listen, electric vehicle is going to be it, because internal combustion is not going to be able to give you the torque electric vehicle will. Acceleration, all of that sort of stuff. But it still hasn't got that soul of it, which it's and every car felt the same. I think that's a big challenge the manufacturers have to get their head around. How do they make their product different to
stand out from the rest?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge there. It's going to be a challenge there.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen, moving along then. Okay, I want to get your views then on video and how do we use this technology with the sales process. Someone listening to this, what's your views on this YouTube generation that we're teaching? How much should video be part of the sales process? How much is it happening as part of the process in what you're dealing with?
I teach my clients, if you want to stand out from the crowd, you've got to use video. And what I mean by that is that, for example, we use video in follow-up. I use video in follow-up, right? Because it makes you stand out from the crowd. And you know that if everyone, and we're also big on text, because and I say to my salespeople, they're all sitting in, when we're doing if I'm doing an online sales, or like an on-site sales training, I said, if I got all your numbers in my phone, I hit the button now, you all got a message, it all would look at your phone. Everyone does it, right? And we talk about with follow-up, right? So with follow-up, we know that if Simon has made an appointment to come in at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and yesterday afternoon he made an appointment to come in at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, at 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock that morning, the salesperson normally picks the phone up and confirms that Simon's coming in at 4 o'clock, right? And we know that most times the salesperson who picks the phone up are going, oh, I wonder if Simon's going to pull out, or he's changed his mind, and they've got all the nervous Nellies and all that, right? So we just say, grab your phone and go out. If Simon's come to drive it, I'm going to just use the Isuzu D-Max LST. Just go out and walk around and say, hey, Simon, just want to let you know, I've got the Isuzu D-Max LST ready for a test drive. Looking forward to seeing you at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And bang, hit Simon with that video. Now, if you've got Simon's wife's number and you do it around 9:30 or 10 o'clock, send it to both of them. You know, there might be, hey, Ian and Mel, just let you know, I've got the Isuzu D-Max ready for a test drive. Looking forward to seeing you both at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Now, what happens is when you send that out to both Ian and Mel, if Mel's sitting at the coffee shop with the girlfriends and they're having coffee, though, for whatever reason, and Mel's phone goes ping, she goes, oh, what's that? And has a look, and next thing plays the video, and all the girlfriends go, oh, you're looking at buying a new car, Mel. Oh, well, we're going to test drive one this afternoon. Oh, what are you going to test drive? Oh, the new Isuzu D-Max. Oh, where are you test driving that at? And, oh, what colour are you looking at getting? And all of a sudden, Mel's selling herself to her friends about to buy a new Isuzu D-Max, right? So we use it then. We also use it because we know that at the moment when you order a car, from the moment when you place an order on that car to the car arrives could be 8, 9, 10 months, right? So we talk about make sure that you're keeping the customer updated and the customer's not ringing you to get updated. So use video. Hey, Edamel, just want to let you know your car's gone into build and we'll keep you posted on when delivery's likely to be. Hey, Edamel, just want to let you know your car's been picked up by transport and it's on its way to the dealership. Hey, Edamel, just want to let you know your car's arrived in the dealership and I'll give you a call this afternoon to organise when we can do delivery. Hey, Edamel, just want to let you know that we're getting the paint protection and fabric protection fitted on your car today, and everything's still right for 5 o'clock Friday afternoon. All in 20 and 30-second videos.
Yeah, I just love that. Video is not the future. It's just the now.
Yeah.
It needs to be used on all parts of it. I tell you what, we have See It Now over here. I think it's one of the best platforms for getting videos through to people quickly and easily. And of course, you can see every time the customers watch the video. It always amazes me. Someone's bought the car. They're going back looking at the video 18 times before they pick it up. Okay, they're looking at it 3 o'clock in the morning because they're so excited about the new car. Oh, and by the way, that's something people listen to this who have been in the motor trade for a while and who's jaded. We forget how excited people get about that new car. I've done this, Emma's last car. And cars now, you're going to hate me saying this. Some people will say, no, I still love them, but cars kind of bore me a bit now, Ian. I've been in the motor trade too long. It's got to be something quite special. And the older I get, I actually quite like an old car now. That sort of snuck up on me as well there. But Emma was picking up a new car. Okay. Actually, no, they were delivering it for her. Again, through one of our clients. And she was all excited about when a car gets here and when it's going to be there and what is it. And I just looked at her and thought, wow, I haven't had that for years. Okay. But she was still excited about when they deliver it and the salesperson there. It's, and you know what? Video is the way to get that excitement through to the customer all the time. So, Ian, let me ask you, if you bought another dealership, a dealer group tomorrow, so you've got out of the training world and you've bought a dealership, what would you do in the first 90 days of owning that dealership? Where would you start now, or that dealer group?
Depending on what the situation was, what the dealership was in, but the first thing I would implement would be make sure that the processes were right, and I mean across the whole group. The next thing I would implement would be training. I would make sure that whether it be leadership training, sales training, service advisory, I would make sure I would invest in the whole team and get training up to date. And I think if we get the processes right and we get our people right, they'll sell the product no matter what it is.
Yeah, it's again, two people run training companies. So of course we're going to say training. And listen, I urge people go and have a look at the autoacademy.com.au. And if people just look at the autoacademy.com.au, they'll find all of your training programs and what you do there. So again, have a look at that. And Ian and I, we've known each other for a long time, and we look at each other's material there. And let me tell you, there's some great stuff there. So let me ask you, leaving people now, okay, is there a tip or an idea that someone can go back in and put in today immediately and get results? What tip or idea would you leave for people?
The tip is sell yourself first, sell the business second, and the product will sell itself. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is never, ever give up.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. It's just never giving up. And it's always about believing in yourself.
Love that. 3 tips there. Never give up, never go. Okay. I love that. Listen, I really do appreciate the time there. Ian, how do people get hold of you? What's the easiest way for them to get hold of you?
You can contact me through the autoacademy.com.au. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Or you can just send me an email, which is ian@ianparker.com.au, and happy to reply to you. So find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, or any of those social media channels.
Perfect. Ian, really appreciate it. It's good to see you again. And are you going out to Houston next year for the NADA conference?
Yeah, in January. No, I won't.
I'm not going to see it. I haven't even looked yet. Okay, but it'll be my annual. I have to go out there again and see what's out there.
Yeah. No, this year I won't, because I think it was in January, and I'm already booked in January, so I won't do that. So I won't make that one.
We'll catch up again next time you're out there. Anyway, listen, thank you so much again. Really appreciate it.
No worries, Simon. I appreciate that. And one thing I'll finish with: always be your best.
And listen, there's 4 things at the end. Love it. Love it. That just leaves me to say that all details of this episode and other episodes on the selling in the motor trade can be found on our website, simcotraining.co.uk. Go there to get a copy of our book, Words That Sell Cars. Go there to sign up to a free trial of our Sales Fitness online sales training program. Easiest way to get hold of me is Simon Bowkett through LinkedIn. Thank you.